Have you ever looked at your life and thought, why me? Why am I okay when someone else isn't? Maybe you walked away from an accident. Maybe you kept your job when friends were laid off. Maybe you got better, and they didn't. The world says, be grateful. Your body says, be happy. But somewhere inside, a voice whispers, you don't deserve this. That ache has a name. Survivor's guilt. And Viktor Frankl, psychiatrist, survivor, and a voice for those who suffered, has something steady to tell you. He would not shame your guilt. He would not rush you past it. He would say, this pain is not a verdict. It's a sign that you care, a sign that your heart understands the weight of life. The question is not, how do I erase it? The question is, what is this guilt trying to ask of me? Frankl lived through what most of us only read about. He watched people lose everything, and yet, somehow, find a way to remain human. His discovery wasn't that suffering magically makes you better. It doesn't. Suffering breaks. But he saw something else. He saw that even when life strips you of control, there remains a thin, stubborn freedom, the freedom to choose your response. In that small space, meaning can still grow. So let's sit with this feeling together, calmly. Why do you feel guilty for surviving? Here's one honest reason. Your brain keeps a moral ledger. It wants balance. When something unfair happens, when you live and someone else doesn't, the ledger screams. It invents stories. If I had done more, if I had been there, if I had taken their place. It's not logic. It's loyalty. Loyalty to the person, to the past, to the idea that life must make sense. And when it doesn't, guilt tries to make order by making you pay. Frankl would gently tilt your chin toward a different horizon. He'd say, there are different kinds of guilt. There's moral guilt for what we've done wrong, real responsibility we must face and repair. And there's existential guilt, which looks like guilt but is really grief in a mask. It is love with no place to go. It's the ache of why them, turned inward on yourself. When we confuse grief for guilt, we punish ourselves instead of placing the love where it belongs, into a responsibility toward life. Responsibility, that's Frankl's key word. Not blame, responsibility. He called it the last of human freedoms, to choose our attitude to the fate we cannot change. To ask, not why did this happen to me, but what does life ask of me now? And for the survivor's heart, life often asks two things. First, to remember. Second, to live on purpose. You may protest, so I'm just supposed to be happy. No, happiness is a byproduct, not the point. Frankl didn't chase happiness. He pursued meaning. Meaning is sturdier. Meaning doesn't erase sorrow. It gives sorrow a task. It allows you to say, this pain will not be wasted. Let's make this practical. If you feel guilty for surviving, start by naming the truth without flinching. Say aloud, I survived, they did not. I didn't choose this. I cannot explain it. But I can choose what I do now. Your nervous system needs that clean sentence. It stops the endless bargaining and places you back in the only time that exists, this moment, where your freedom lives. Then, separate guilt from grief. Ask yourself, did I actually fail a duty? If you did, take responsibility with dignity, or apologize, repair, change. But if your mind invents impossible duties, I should have known, I should have been stronger. I should have controlled fate. That's not moral failure. That's the heart trying to make the universe fair. Thank it for caring. Then gently decline its impossible job. Now Frankl's 3 pathways to meaning, in what we create, in what we experience, and in the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. Survivor's guilt touches all three. Creatively ask, what can I build in the space my survival opened? Not to even a score, to honor a life, a project, a scholarship, a letter that becomes a ritual, a weekly act of service, tutoring one person, showing up at a shelter, planting a tree every anniversary. Don't wait for a grand vision. Meaning likes small doors. If you don't know where to start, pick one. Name someone you loved, someone you lost. Create one tiny thing with their name on your effort today. Experientially ask, what goodness can I receive on their behalf? Survivor's guilt says, no joy, joy is betrayal. Frankl says, joy is loyalty to life. Let a sunrise hurt you with its beauty. Let a meal be tasted slowly. Let a song be a prayer. When you receive the world with reverence, you carry those you lost into this hour. You are not replacing them. You are expanding them into what is still possible. Attitudinally, the third path, you ask, how do I carry what cannot be changed? Here Frankl's idea of tragic optimism matters. Tragic because tragedy is real. Optimism not because you expect easy outcomes, but because you insist that even here there can be meaning. This isn't naive. It's brave. Tragic optimism says, I will not demand a painless life. I will demand a purposeful one. Let's talk tools, simple and concrete. First, the vow. Write a letter beginning with, because I lived, I will. Fill it with verbs, not titles. Because I lived, I will be kind where I was indifferent. I will protect someone who feels small. I will speak the words I kept inside. I will waste less time on petty quarrels. I will cook one meal each week for someone who needs it. Keep it small, keep it real. Put the letter where you see it. This turns vague guilt into a steady direction. Second, the because of you journal. Choose a name that matters. Each evening, write one sentence. Because of you, today I. It might be tiny. Because of you, today I walked instead of doom scrolling. Because of you, I called my sister. Because of you, I laughed and didn't apologize. Over time, the ledger in your mind shifts. You are not paying a debt. You are living a dedication. Third, dereflection, one of Frankl's techniques. When we stare at a feeling, it grows. Survivor's guilt is sticky because we watch it, measure it, argue with it. Dereflection means gently taking your attention off the symptom and placing it on a task that matters beyond you. Not to avoid the pain, but to give it better company. For 1 hour, do something that needs doing and wouldn't be done without you. Wash dishes for a friend with a new baby. Send a job lead to someone who's searching. If your guilt returns and taps your shoulder, nod. Say, you can ride along, but I'm busy. Fourth, paradoxical intention for spikes of guilt that become panic. This is delicate, so approach with humor, not cruelty. When your mind says, feel the guilt, or else quietly reply, fine. For the next 60 seconds, I will try to feel the guiltiest I've ever felt. Set a timer, ham it up 1 minute only, then stop and breathe. Often, the fear powered by resistance loses steam. You are teaching your nervous system that the feeling is survivable. It is a wave, not a verdict. Fifth, rituals of remembrance. Guilt often floods us on anniversaries, birthdays, or ordinary Tuesdays that suddenly feel heavy. Plan for them. Light a candle. Cook their favorite dish. Donate a small amount. Take a walk on their street. Speak their name in your kitchen. Rituals are bridges between sorrow and action, between memory and forward motion. You may be thinking, but what if my guilt isn't about death? What if it's because I succeeded and others didn't? You graduated, they dropped out. You bought a home, they're drowning in rent. You found love, they're still alone. The pain feels different, but functions the same. Your brain shouts, shrink yourself. Frankl would say, no, grow your responsibility, not your shame. Don't hide your light to make darkness fair. Use your light so others can see. Share your notes. Offer an interview prep. Pay for the coffee. Be a humble mentor instead of a disappearing friend. Meaning doesn't demand that you collapse. It asks that you extend. There's also the body. Survivor's guilt lives in the shoulders, the jaw, the breath you forget to take. Try this simple practice. Place your hand on your chest. Inhale slowly for 4 counts. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. On the exhale, say quietly, I'm allowed to be here. Repeat 5 times. It's not magic. It's permission. Your physiology needs to hear what your values already know. Now, a quiet warning. Survivor's guilt can be complicated by trauma, depression, and real moral injury. If your thoughts turn dark, if you rehearse self-harm, if you can't function, please, reach out. Speak to someone trained to help. Frankl believed in the power of meaning, and he also believed in medicine, in therapy, in community. Strength doesn't mean doing this alone. Let's add a story. A nurse, I'll call Maya, was the only one who walked away unharmed from a late-night crash. For months, she refused joy. She turned down every invitation. She punished herself with exhaustion, as if rest was theft. Then she read Frankl and shifted 1 sentence, from why did I live, to what now does life ask of me. She wrote a vow. Because I lived, I will train 3 new nurses each year to be unbelievably gentle. She created a tiny scholarship, $50 a month. She started saying yes to sunsets again. Did the sorrow leave? No, but it found a shape it could live in. If you feel guilty when good things happen, try the mirror test. Look at your face and say, joy is not betrayal. If that sentence cracks you open, that's okay. You're learning to let the world back in. You're practicing what Frankl called the experiential path to meaning, letting beauty, love, and goodness educate your soul. Another tool, values as verbs. Titles are heavy. I must be a perfect son, a savior, a success. Verbs move easily. Pick 3 for the week. Protect, listen, build, or learn. Comfort, try. Post them where you'll see them. When guilt rises, don't argue with it. Ask, what verb am I doing right now? Then do it more. If you're haunted by the idea that you owe a life you can never repay, hear this. You are not a debtor. You are a steward. Debtors are chased by fear. Stewards hold something precious and decide how to use it well. That shift from debt to stewardship changes the tone of your days. You become less frantic, more faithful. Let's get even more concrete. Morning practice. Before you touch your phone, ask, what's the one thing life wants from me today? Keep it small and specific. Send the email. Cook the soup. Call my uncle. Evening practice. Where did I meet meaning today? Write 3 lines. They don't have to be bright. I kept a promise. I told the truth. I watered the plant. Over time, these pages prove to your mind that you are living in a way that honors what hurts, and movement. Survivor's guilt freezes the body. Unfreeze it with a simple walk you call a pilgrimage. Choose a route. At the start, speak a name. Walk in silence for 10 minutes. At the end, whisper, I'm carrying you forward. You will feel a quiet sturdiness creep back in the kind you don't have to perform. Quick pause while we're here at the heart of this. If you've ever felt survivors, guilt after illness, layoffs, a breakup, a disaster, what vow would you write that begins, "Because I lived, I will"? Share one line in the comments. It might be the sentence someone else needs tonight. And if this helped you breathe a little easier, consider subscribing, so this space can keep meeting you with calm, honest meaning when life turns dark. Okay, back we go. What about those nasty surprise triggers? The smell of antiseptic, the date circled on the calendar, a song that played before the news came. Instead of bracing against them, plan a counter-ritual. Put something kind on your schedule, that to visit a garden, write that letter, call the person who gets it. If it's a place, approach with a companion. Walk in as if you are reclaiming ground, not dodging ghosts. Triggers lose some of their bite when they meet your intention. And what about when others don't understand? When they say, "You should be over it," or "at least you're okay," or the coldest words of all, "move on." Frankl would never say that to you. He'd say, "Move with." We don't move on from love. We move with it. We carry it, and we let it shape what we do next. If people dismiss your grief, don't argue. Show them your vow. Let your life be your explanation. There's a quiet courage in allowing good things again. Try this experiment for 1 week. Each day, accept one small joy without apology. A peach eaten slowly, sun on your arm, a laugh that takes you by surprise. When guilt rises, place your hand on your heart and say, "This joy is not theft, it's fuel." Joy strengthens your capacity to serve. A depleted soul can't give, a nourished one can carry. If your guilt is tied to success, if you're thriving while others struggle, practice generous visibility. Share how you got here. Detail the missteps, the helpers, the luck. Offer what you can, introductions, resources, time. Let humility and generosity travel together. Modesty hides. Humility shares the stage. And if you fear forgetting, if that's the source of your guilt tree, remember this. Remembrance isn't measured by constant pain. It's measured by fidelity to what mattered most about them. What did they love fiercely? Who did they protect? What was their laugh like? Their stubbornness? Their grace? Carry those qualities forward. Be faithful to what they were, not to the heaviness of missing them. Let's revisit Frankl's core. Meaning isn't found by staring at your feelings. It's discovered by responding to life. Life is constantly asking. The questions change. Will you stand up? Will you tell the truth? Will you forgive? Will you persevere? Will you rest? Even your rest can be obedience to meaning. You rest so you can serve again tomorrow. One more story. A man I'll call Daniel survived an illness his brother didn't. He became addicted to punishment, overworking, undersleeping, rejecting joy. He thought he was being loyal, but he was slowly erasing himself. He switched questions. Instead of "How can I pay for living?" he asked, "How can I live in a way that would make my brother smile?" He started small, pancakes on Sundays with his niece. He shared his brother's playlist. He volunteered once a month at the ward, where they used to wait for scans. His brother wasn't erased. He was included. The guilt didn't vanish. It thinned. It learned to walk beside love without choking it. If you're still asking, "But do I deserve this life?" here's the hardest and most freeing truth. Deserving is the wrong category. Life isn't a prize for virtue. It's a trust. You didn't earn every breath you take. None of us did. But you can spend your breath well. That's enough. That's more than enough. Before we close, a last practice, a conversation with your future self. Sit quietly. Imagine yourself 5 years from now, still carrying the memory, but steadier. Ask them, what did you learn to do with the guilt? Listen for simple answers. I stopped arguing with it. I turned it into routines. I held it during joy instead of waiting for it to leave. Then ask, what am I doing each week that makes you proud? Write down the first 3 verbs that come. Build your days around them. And tonight, if the heaviness climbs into bed with you, try this prayer even if you don't pray. Life, I am here. I don't know why, but I will be faithful with what I have. Give me one person to help. Give me one thing to build. Give me 1 inch of courage. Then sleep like someone trusted, not like someone accused. Here's what I hope you carry from Frankl. Pain is not asking you to suffer forever. It's asking you to respond, to remember in ways that heal, to live in ways that honor, to let joy return without apology. You can be loyal to the past and faithful to the future at the same time. If guilt knocks tomorrow, you'll know what to say. I hear you. You care about what matters. Come along, but I'm busy. I'm building something beautiful in their name, and you will. Quietly, steadily, day by day, your life will become what it already wants to be, a sanctuary where love, even wounded love, can get to work.